Have you ever thought about what it would be like to see the world by yourself? To get out of your comfort zone and find new places and parts of yourself? This video is about the amazing things I've learned from traveling alone, across countries for years. My first trip by myself, from Pune to Pondicherry in January 2016, was a journey that changed my life. As I set out to spend a week by myself in a place I didn't know, I felt both nervous and excited. A journey that would take me across continents and deep into the heart of self-discovery. I had no idea what this path would lead to. I have traveled all over India, discovered the beauty of Southeast Asia, and soaked up the rich culture of Europe. Since that moment, that changed my life. Every trip I took by myself taught me something new about life and how to travel the world. These trips changed me in ways I could never have thought, making me the person I am now. I learned 5 important lessons from traveling alone that I will always remember. These lessons aren't just about traveling itself, but also about the journey we all go on inside ourselves when we push ourselves and leave our comfort zones. Trust. Being careful without being afraid. That old saying, "Better safe than sorry," came up a lot when I was traveling alone as a woman. Friends and family would tell me to stay safe before every trip, and they were right to worry. But I quickly learned that traveling alone wasn't about avoiding every risk out of fear. It was about being careful without letting fear take over. I've been eve-teased in uncomfortable situations, both in my home country and on my travels in Europe. Even though these events were upsetting, they didn't stop me from traveling and seeing more of the world. Instead, they told me to believe in myself, stay alert, and trust my gut. When you travel by yourself, you should be aware of your surroundings and know when to trust people. But you shouldn't shut yourself off from the world out of fear. For every time I felt uneasy, I met amazing travelers and locals who made me believe in people again. From kind strangers in the busy streets of Hanoi to helpful guides in the mountains of Himachal, these experiences made me believe that the world is full of good people, even though it can be uncertain. I learned to be careful and trusting at the same time, to be alert and open to the new things that travel has to offer. Managing your time, being on time, and being able to adapt. Keeping track of time is very important when you're traveling by yourself. There is no one to share the responsibility of getting to and from flights, trains, and buses, and the stress of missing a link can be heavy at times. I've missed flights, been on buses that were late, and been to tourist spots that were closed. And yes, I have learned from them, usually with a laugh. Because of these events, I gained a new appreciation for planning. Planned my days, so I had a general idea of when and where I needed to be. Still, one of the most important things I learned from traveling by myself is that being flexible is just as important as being on time. Things can go wrong, even if you plan perfectly. There are times when flights are cancelled or trains are late, and you're stuck in the middle of nowhere with no way to get where you need to go on time. I stopped seeing these times as mistakes and started seeing them as chances. That bus being late? I got to check out a hidden town that I never would have seen otherwise. The flight that didn't happen? It led me to stay in a beautiful seaside town I hadn't planned to see. Managing your time well is important, but so is being able to adapt to new situations and enjoy the ride. Confidence. Giving me the strength to face the world. One of the most life-changing things that traveling alone did for me was boost my confidence. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go on another solo trip after taking a 5-year break. I found my strength again when I took on the difficult tasks of hitchhiking through new areas and riding on top of local cabs in Himachal. My confidence grew every time I found my way around new streets, learned how to get from A to B in a foreign language, or overcame an unexpected problem. When I traveled alone, I learned that I can handle bad things, which they will eventually do. The world is big and can be scary at times, but it's also full of chances to learn and grow. Every problem I solved made me feel stronger and ready to take on bigger problems in life and on my travels. You learn to trust yourself when you travel by yourself. You become your own coach, your own problem solver, and your own fan. It gives you a lot of power, and the feeling stays with you long after you get back home. Enjoying my own company, finding comfort in quiet. I still remember very clearly sitting on the beach in Pondicherry on my very first trip by myself. taking in the cool evening air and listening to the waves. As I thought about how deeply happy I was at that moment, tears of joy filled my eyes. That time I spent sitting alone and feeling calm was a turning point for me. At that moment, I promised myself I would travel alone more often, not just to see more of the world, but also to learn more about myself. Traveling by yourself gives you time to think about your life, which is hard to do in our busy, connected world. I felt more connected to myself when I was by myself, like when I was hiking alone in the Himalayas, or when I was sitting quietly in a cafe in Europe. I learned to enjoy being by myself in a way I never had before. I learned to find comfort in silence and to enjoy the beauty of being alone without feeling lonely. I was able to connect with myself more deeply during these quiet times of self-reflection. Through these events, I learned about parts of myself I didn't know existed and grew to appreciate the person I was becoming more. Traveling by myself turned into more than just a way to see new places. It became a way to learn about myself and grow, looking at the world in a new way. Going on a trip by yourself gives you a unique view. You can fully engage yourself in the experience and see the world with new eyes when you're not with other people. It feels like each moment is stronger, clearer, and more relevant to me. Going on trips by myself made me fully present in the moment, whether I was exploring the old temples of Angkor Wat or getting lost in Rome's winding streets. Sometimes it can be hard to travel alone and not have anyone to share the good times and bad times with. There were times when I wished I had someone with me to enjoy the astonishing beauty of a sunset or the anger of missing a train. However, this unfiltered view of the world gave my trips an air of authenticity that I wouldn't trade for anything. I can see the world and myself in a new way now that I move by myself. It taught me to go to every place with an open mind and heart, to be okay with what I don't know, and to enjoy the trip as much as the destination. The road ahead, letting go of the journey again. I think about how traveling by myself has changed me in ways I never thought possible. I've had a short-term drop in confidence over the last few years, but I know it's time to take that jump again. It's time to trust myself, welcome the world with open arms, and enjoy the beauty of both the places I visit and the one inside me. Some trips are hard to do by yourself. It has its hurdles, like getting around in places you don't know and dealing with being alone. But the benefits are much greater than the problems. The things I've learned about trust, managing my time, having confidence, and enjoying being alone have made my life better in many ways, not just through travel. Here's to more solo adventures, where I can explore new places, meet interesting people, and most of all, love the person I've become through this exciting trip. As I tell you my story, I hope it makes you want to go on your own solo trip, whether it's to a faraway place or to explore your own soul. Enjoy the journey? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more inspiring stories and travel tips that could spark your next adventure.